I caught my spoiled sister kissing my boyfriend a week before her wedding. I thought her fiancé brushed it off when I told him, but on the wedding day, he stunned the entire crowd. I watched my sister kiss my boyfriend through the kitchen window and felt something inside me go completely numb. They were standing by the granite island in our parents' house, the same kitchen where Melody and I had baked cookies as kids, where Mom had taught us to make her famous lasagna, where we'd had 1,000 family dinners pretending we were normal. But there was nothing normal about this. Melody had her hands on Garrett's chest, his hands were on her waist, and they were kissing like they'd done it before. Not a drunk mistake, not an accident, practiced. I'd come to drop off the centerpiece samples for her reception, the wedding that was happening in 6 days. The house was supposed to be empty. Everyone was at the venue doing the final walkthrough with the coordinator. But Garrett's Tesla was in the driveway, and Melody's white Range Rover, the one Dad had bought her for her 28th birthday last month, sat beside it. I'd thought it was weird, had almost turned around, but Mom had texted me 3 times about the centerpieces, and I just wanted to drop them off and leave. Now I stood frozen on the back porch, holding a box of gold and cream floral arrangements, watching my little sister destroy my relationship. When they finally broke apart, Melody laughed. That high, musical laugh she used when she wanted something. "You always were more fun than Cameron," she said. Cameron. My name in her mouth while she was kissing my boyfriend. Garrett ran his hand through his hair, nervous gesture I knew too well. "Your sister's at the venue. We should relax," Melody purred. "She'll be there for another hour. The wedding planner's a nightmare about details. What if someone sees? Who's going to see? Everyone's at the venue or working. We're completely alone." I pushed open the door. They both jumped like I'd fired a gun. "Oh my God!" Melody's face went pale. "Cam, this isn't what?" My voice came out flat, dead. Garrett stepped back from her like she'd burned him. "Babe, listen, that just happened. It didn't mean anything." "Didn't mean anything?" I set the box down carefully on the kitchen table. "You kissed my sister a week before her wedding, and it didn't mean anything? We were just talking and things got complicated," Melody said, smoothing her designer dress. "You're overreacting." "Complicated?" I looked at Garrett. "Were you drinking?" "No, because I can see the coffee cups." "You were both sober." Neither of them answered. I looked at my sister, really looked at her. Melody had always been beautiful. Dad's princess, Mom's baby girl. Blonde hair that cost $400 every 6 weeks to maintain. Personal trainer 3 times a week. Closet full of clothes that cost more than my monthly rent, and she'd never been satisfied with just having everything. She'd always needed what was mine too. "Tell Blake," I said quietly. Melody's expression shifted. "What?" "Your fiancé, Blake Morrison, the man you're marrying on Saturday. Tell him what you just did." "That's insane." "Why would I?" "Because he deserves to know that his bride-to-be is kissing other guys a week before the wedding." Garrett grabbed my arm. "Cameron, can we talk about this privately?" I jerked away from him. "Don't touch me. It was a mistake. A stupid, meaningless mistake. Then it should be easy to tell Blake about it." Melody's face hardened. "I'm not telling Blake anything, and neither are you." "Why not?" "Because you'll ruin everything. The wedding's in 6 days. We have 200 guests coming. The venue's booked. The photographer's paid. I don't care about your wedding." "Of course you don't," she snapped. "You've always been jealous of me, of everything I have. Now, you want to destroy the one thing that actually matters." I stared at her. "You think this is about jealousy? What else would it be about? You've never had what I have. Never been as pretty or as successful or as..." "Melody." Garrett's voice was quiet, warning, but she ignored him. "You're just bitter. Because I'm marrying a surgeon and you're dating a... What do you even do, Garrett? Real estate? How pedestrian." "I'm a commercial real estate developer," Garrett said tightly. "I make $340,000 a year. And Blake makes $1 million. See the difference?" I picked up my keys. "I'm telling him." "The hell you are!" Melody moved to block the door. "You're going to keep your mouth shut and let me have my wedding, just like you always do. Stand aside and let me have what I want. Not this time. Mom and Dad will never forgive you if you ruin this wedding." "I'm not ruining anything. You already did that when you decided to make out with my boyfriend." I walked around her and headed for my car. Behind me, I heard Garrett calling my name, heard Melody screaming about how I was destroying the family. I drove away and didn't look back. "I'm Cameron Harper, 29 years old, middle school English teacher in Austin, Texas. I make $54,000 a year, drive a 2019 Honda Civic, and live in a 1-bedroom apartment in North Austin." I'd been dating Garrett Chen for 11 months, met him at a friend's birthday party. He was charming, funny, made me feel like I was the only person in the room. I'd introduced him to my family 3 months in. Big mistake. Because Melody had looked at him the way she looked at everything I had, like she was already calculating how to take it. My parents, Richard and Susan Harper, had always enabled Melody's behavior. She was the baby, the accident they'd had when I was 7, the child they'd spoiled because they felt guilty about dividing their attention. When Melody wanted my toys as a kid, Mom said, "Share with your sister." When Melody wanted to go to my college, Dad paid for both of us, but gave her a bigger allowance because she has more social expenses. When Melody wanted to work at Dad's commercial real estate firm, she got a VP title and a corner office despite having zero experience. I'd been teaching for 6 years and still shared a classroom with another teacher. Melody had met Blake Morrison at a charity gala Dad had hosted. Blake was a cardiothoracic surgeon at Del Seaton Medical Center, 34, came from family money, drove an Aston Martin, exactly Melody's type. They'd gotten engaged after 8 months. The wedding had been planned for over a year. The budget was $180,000, all paid for by Dad, obviously. I'd been asked to be a bridesmaid, had said yes because refusing would have caused family drama I didn't have the energy for. But watching Melody kiss Garrett in our parents' kitchen, I'd realized I was done protecting her from consequences. I called Blake that night at 9:47 p.m. "Cameron, hey, everything okay?" His voice was warm, professional. Blake had always been kind to me, treated me like an actual person instead of Melody's disappointing older sister. "I need to talk to you, in person, tomorrow if possible." "Sure, what's this about?" "I'd rather not say over the phone." Pause. "Is Melody okay?" "She's fine, but I saw something today that you need to know about." "Okay, I have a surgery at 7 a.m., but I'm free after 2. Want to meet at Mozart's, the coffee shop on the lake?" "That works, thank you." "Of course." I hung up and immediately got a text from Melody. "If you tell Blake anything, I will make your life a living hell." "I'm not kidding, Cameron." I didn't respond. 30 seconds later, Mom called. "Cameron Rose Harper, what do you think you're doing?" "Hi, Mom. Melody just called me in hysterics. She says you're threatening to ruin her wedding over some misunderstanding." "It wasn't a misunderstanding. I saw her kiss my boyfriend. She said it was an accident, that Garrett was upset about something and she was comforting him and it just happened." "That's a lie." "Why would she lie? Why do you think?" Mom's voice went cold. "Your sister is getting married in 6 days, the biggest day of her life, and you're being selfish and vindictive because you can't stand to see her happy. I'm being honest about what I saw. You're being dramatic, just like you always are. Always making everything about you instead of supporting your family." "Supporting my family? Melody kissed my boyfriend and I'm the problem? It was one mistake. Let it go." "Would you let it go if Dad kissed another woman?" "That's completely different, and you know it." "How?" "Because your father and I are married. We have a commitment. Melody and Garrett aren't anything to each other. It meant nothing." "Then why is she so afraid of me telling Blake?" Silence. "Cameron," Mom said carefully, "if you do this, if you tell Blake something that ruins this wedding, I will never forgive you. Your father will never forgive you. You will lose your entire family over this. Then I guess I'll lose my family." I hung up. 2 minutes later, Dad called. I let it go to voicemail. Then Garrett, "Please, can we talk? I love you. It was a mistake." Delete. Melody again. "Mom told me what you said. You're a selfish bitch, and you always have been. Hope you're happy destroying the family." Delete. I turned off my phone and tried to sleep. The next day, I met Blake at Mozart's Coffee at 2:14 p.m. He was already there when I arrived, sitting outside on the deck overlooking Lake Austin. He'd changed out of his scrubs into jeans and a button-down, looked tired but alert. "Hey," he said, standing to hug me. "You want anything? Coffee's on me. Just water, thanks." He got me an ice water and we sat down. "So," he said, "what's going on?" I pulled out my phone, showed him the photo I'd taken through the kitchen window before I'd gone inside. Melody and Garrett kissing. Timestamp 4:47 p.m. yesterday. Blake stared at the photo for a long time. Didn't say anything, just stared. "I'm sorry," I said quietly. "I know the wedding's in 6 days. I know this is terrible timing, but you deserve to know." Did Garrett initiate it?" "No, she did. She grabbed him. He hesitated maybe half a second, then kissed her back." "How long did it last?" "Maybe 20 seconds before I walked in." Blake zoomed in on the photo, studied Melody's face, Garrett's hands on her waist. "Have they done this before?" he asked. "I don't know. This is the first time I've seen it. But you suspect there's more?" "Honestly? Yes. They look too comfortable, too practiced." He nodded slowly, set down my phone. "Thank you for telling me. What are you going to do?" "I don't know yet." "Blake, I'm not trying to ruin your wedding. I just thought—" "I know." He looked at me. "You thought I deserved the truth. You were right. I do. Are you going to talk to her?" "Eventually. But not today. I need time to think." We sat in silence for a moment. "Cameron, can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Has Melody always been like this?" I thought about it. "What do you mean?" "Entitled? Manipulative? Willing to take what she wants regardless of who it hurts?" "Yeah, pretty much since we were kids." "And your parents enable it? Every time?" Blake smiled grimly. "That tracks. I've noticed. The way they excuse her behavior. Give her everything she wants. Treat you like an afterthought. You've noticed that? I'm a surgeon. I'm trained to observe. And I've been observing your family for over a year now." He leaned back. "Want to know what I've seen?" "Sure. Your sister is a narcissist. Classic case. Your parents created her by refusing to enforce boundaries or consequences. And you've spent your entire life being the reasonable one, the responsible one, the one who makes sacrifices so Melody can have whatever she wants." The accuracy of it hit me like a punch. "That photo you just showed me," Blake continued, "that's not surprising. That's Melody operating exactly as she always has, taking what she wants because she's never been told no. So, what are you going to do about it?" "I'm going to to teach her what consequences feel like. He stood up. Thanks for the heads up, Cameron. I mean that. And I'm sorry about Garrett. You deserve better than someone who'd do that to you. Thanks. He walked away. I sat there for another hour, watching the water, wondering if I'd just destroyed my sister's wedding or saved Blake from a terrible marriage. For the next 5 days, nothing happened. Blake didn't cancel the wedding. Melody didn't confess. My parents didn't speak to me, blocked my number, blocked my emails. Garrett showed up at my apartment at 11:34 p.m. on Wednesday, drunk and crying, begging me to forgive him. I called the cops. They escorted him away with a warning about trespassing. Melody kept posting on Instagram about wedding week excitement and marrying my soulmate. Photos of her dress fitting, her bachelorette party, her rehearsal dinner, acting like nothing had happened. I assumed Blake had decided to go through with it anyway. Maybe he'd confronted her, and she'd cried and apologized, and he'd forgiven her. Maybe he thought it was cold feet or a one-time mistake. Or maybe he just didn't want to deal with the embarrassment of canceling a $180,000 wedding. On Friday night, Melody texted me from a new number. Blake knows. I told him everything. He forgave me. We're getting married tomorrow, and you're not invited. Don't bother showing up. Security has your photo. Hope you're happy with yourself, bitter bitch. I stared at that message for 20 minutes. Then I realized she was lying. If Blake had forgiven her, why would I be banned from the wedding? Why would they need security? She was trying to keep me away, which meant Blake hadn't told her what he was planning. I made a decision. I was going to that wedding. The ceremony was at Vista West Ranch, just outside Austin. Expensive venue, hill country views, string lights and stone buildings, and enough flowers to fill a stadium. I arrived at 4:23 p.m. Ceremony started at 5. The parking lot was packed. Audis, BMWs, Range Rovers, the kind of cars my family's friends drove. I'd dressed carefully. Navy blue dress, simple jewelry, hair and makeup done professionally. If I was going to be thrown out, I wanted to look good doing it. Security stopped me at the entrance. Name? Cameron Harper. He checked his tablet. You're not on the list. I'm the bride's sister. You're also flagged as banned from the property. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Can I speak to Blake Morrison first? The groom? He's getting ready for the ceremony. No interruptions. A voice behind me. It's okay, Marcus. She can come in. I turned. Blake stood there in his tuxedo, perfectly tailored, hair styled, looking calm. She's my guest, Blake said. Not on Melody's list. On mine. Marcus looked uncertain. Sir, the bride specifically said, I'm aware, but I'm the groom, and I'm telling you she's welcome. Are we clear? Yes, sir. Blake gestured for me to follow him. We walked to a quiet corner of the courtyard. Thank you, I said. I wasn't sure if I'd actually let you come. Blake smiled. Cameron, you're the reason I'm standing here right now instead of married to someone who'd cheat on me. So you're not going through with it? Oh, I'm absolutely going through with it, just not the way Melody thinks. What does that mean? You'll see. But I wanted to thank you first for having the courage to tell me the truth when everyone else was protecting her. My family's going to disown me after this. Good. You deserve a better family. He checked his watch. Ceremony starts in 27 minutes. You should find a seat. I'd recommend the back. You'll want to be able to leave quickly afterward. Blake, what are you planning? He just smiled. Justice. I sat in the last row on the groom's side. The venue filled up fast. 200 guests in expensive clothes, chatting and laughing and taking photos. Garrett was there, sitting with Melody's college friends, wearing a charcoal suit that I'd helped him pick out 3 months ago. He saw me, and his face went white. Good. My parents sat in the front row on the bride's side. Mom in a champagne-colored gown that probably cost $3,000. Dad in a custom tux, both beaming like they were at a coronation instead of a wedding. The string quartet started playing. Blake and his groomsmen walked down the aisle. Blake caught my eye and nodded slightly. Then the bridesmaids, Melody's college roommate, her cousin, her work friends from Dad's company who'd never actually worked with her. Finally, the music shifted. Everyone stood. Melody appeared at the back of the aisle on Dad's arm. She looked beautiful. I hated that she looked beautiful. The dress was custom Vera Wang, probably $15,000. Hair and makeup perfect, carrying a bouquet of white peonies and garden roses that had cost $800. She walked down that aisle like a princess, smiling at guests, posing for the photographer. When she reached Blake, she handed her bouquet to the maid of honor and took his hands. Dad sat down next to Mom, who was already crying. The officiant, some friend of Blake's from medical school, started the ceremony. Standard stuff about love and commitment and partnership. I wanted to leave. My stomach was churning. Whatever Blake was planning, I wasn't sure I wanted to see it. Then the officiant said, Blake and Melody have prepared personal vows for each other. Here it comes. Blake went first. He pulled a piece of paper from his pocket, unfolded it carefully. Melody, he said, voice steady. When I met you a year ago, I thought I'd found my soulmate, someone beautiful, charming, perfect. Melody smiled. But over the past year, I've learned something important. I've learned that perfection is often just a mask, performance, a way of hiding who you really are. Her smile flickered. Last week, Blake continued, Cameron came to me. She showed me a photo of you kissing her boyfriend, Garrett Chen, in your parents' kitchen, 5 days before our wedding. Gasps erupted throughout the crowd. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Dad half stood, like he wanted to stop this, but didn't know how. At first, Blake said, I didn't want to believe it. I thought maybe Cameron was mistaken. Maybe the angle was wrong. Maybe it was innocent. He pulled out his phone. So I hired a private investigator, Daniel Cross, 26 years in the business, former FBI. He held up his phone so Melody could see the screen. Mr. Cross pulled security footage from your parents' new Ring cameras, the ones they installed last month after that break-in on their street. Melody's face drained of color. Would you like to know what he found? Blake, please. He found footage of you and Garrett, not just kissing, having a full conversation before it. You told him you'd always thought he was hotter than Cameron. He said he'd been waiting for you to notice. You kissed him first. He kissed you back. Then you both talked about doing it again. After the wedding, you said. When the honeymoon's over and things settle down, the venue was completely silent. So this wasn't a mistake, Blake said. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This was a plan. You were planning to marry me while continuing whatever you have with Garrett. Melody was shaking. That's not, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. Blake looked out at the guests. I understand that I almost married someone who sees people as props in her life, as things to collect and control, as assets to upgrade when something better comes along. He looked at my parents. I understand that Melody's family has spent her entire life teaching her that she can do whatever she wants without consequences, that other people's feelings don't matter, that taking what she wants, even when it belongs to her own sister, is perfectly acceptable. Mom stood up. Blake, this is inappropriate. Sit down, Susan. His voice was steel. She sat. Blake turned back to Melody. This was supposed to be the day I promised you forever, but you couldn't even make it 1 week without betraying me, so I'm going to make you a different promise. He pulled an envelope from his jacket pocket. This is a statement I've prepared for the Texas Medical Board, detailing how you've been using my credentials to get preferential treatment at the hospital, how you've been name-dropping me to get friends and family moved ahead in surgery queues, how you've been accessing patient information you're not authorized to see. Melody's eyes went wide. You wouldn't. I already did. I filed it this morning. They're opening an investigation. He pulled out another envelope. This is a complaint to the Texas Bar Association about your father's firm, specifically about how you've been practicing real estate law without a license, giving legal advice to clients, drafting contracts, all things you're not qualified to do. Dad shot to his feet. That's slander. It's documented fact. I have emails, signed contracts with your name on them, client testimonials. Want to see them? Blake held up his phone again. Dad sat down. And finally, Blake said, pulling out a small flash drive, I have copies of all the security footage. Melody and Garrett, dated, time-stamped, authenticated by a licensed forensic analyst, Patricia Rodriguez, 20 years in digital forensics. He looked at Garrett and the crowd. Your employer's HR department got a copy this morning. Sexual misconduct investigation. You'll probably be fired by Monday. Garrett went pale. Blake turned back to Melody. You asked me to marry you because you wanted a surgeon husband, someone successful, someone who'd look good on your Instagram, someone whose status you could borrow. That's not true. It's completely true. I've known it for months, but I thought maybe you'd grow. Maybe you'd change. Maybe marrying me would teach you to be a better person. He shook his head. But people like you don't change. You just get better at hiding who you are. Blake looked out at the 200 guests, all of them staring, recording on their phones, witnessing this complete destruction. I won't marry someone who treats people like they're disposable, he said. I deserve better than that. Cameron deserves better than that. Hell, even Garrett deserves better than that, though he's too stupid to realize it. He looked at Melody one last time. I hope someday you understand what you lost today. Not me. I'm just another trophy you tried to collect. But your family, your integrity, your sister's respect, those things actually mattered, and you threw them away for nothing. Blake handed the officiant his microphone, took off his boutonniere, and set it on the altar. Everyone enjoy the reception. It's already paid for. Shame to waste it. Then he walked down the aisle, leaving Melody standing there in her $15,000 dress, shaking and crying, as 200 guests watched her perfect day implode. The aftermath happened fast. Melody collapsed, literally fell to her knees sobbing while her bridesmaids tried to help her up. Mom rushed forward screaming about lawsuits and slander and how Blake would pay for this humiliation. Dad was on his phone, probably calling his lawyer. Garrett tried to leave, but 3 guests blocked him. I later found out 2 of them were Blake's lawyer friends who wanted to make sure he stuck around for potential questioning. Me? I slipped out the back while everyone was distracted, drove home, poured a glass of wine, sat on my balcony and waited for the calls. They came at 7:34 p.m. Mom, you did this. You poisoned Blake against her. This is your fault. Dad, you've destroyed your sister's life. I hope you're proud of yourself. Melody, 37 text messages alternating between begging me to fix this and calling me every insult in the English language. I blocked all of them. them. Blake called at 9:18 p.m. "Hey," he said, "you okay? I should be asking you that. I'm great. Currently at a bar with my groomsmen celebrating dodging a bullet. You? Sitting on my balcony drinking wine and getting death threats from my family. Want to join us? I'm buying." I thought about it. Yeah, actually I would. 3 months later, things were different. Melody had moved to Dallas. Couldn't stand the gossip in Austin after the wedding video went viral. Someone had posted it on TikTok, and it got 4.7 million views. Dad's firm was under investigation. Turns out Melody had been doing a lot more than just drafting contracts. She'd been forging documents, stealing from escrow accounts. The Texas Real Estate Commission was building a case. Garrett had been fired. Exactly like Blake predicted. My parents sent me a certified letter disowning me, officially, like something from a Victorian novel. I framed it. Blake and I had become actual friends, grabbed dinner once a week, went hiking, talked about our families and our futures, and what we'd learned from the whole disaster. "You know what's crazy?" he said one night over tacos. "I almost married her. I almost legally tied myself to someone who would have made my life miserable for years. You think she would have actually cheated?" "Oh, absolutely. Probably already was. I just didn't have proof of anything else." "Do you regret how you handled it? The public call-out?" He thought about it. "No, because people like Melody don't learn from private conversations. They learn from public consequences. I humiliated her the way she'd humiliated you. Fair trade. My family thinks I'm a monster. Your family thinks anyone who doesn't enable Melody is a monster. That says more about them than you." He was right.